Well, good morning, everybody. Yep, you guessed it. I'm here in the truck talking to myself. Well, I'm actually talking to all of you, but it feels like I'm talking to myself because I'm all alone. Got some hardware here from the Lowe's, and I'm headed out to the job site to go get some work done for the day. You know, we call it crack a noon construction. But anyways, I wanted to basically touch on a subject that I was just talking about in the Lowe's. So basically what happened was when they cashed me out, the clerk's like, do you want to donate your change? And I said, oh, well, I'm going to make 2 transactions, so on the second one, I'll donate the change. And he's like, okay. And then I ask, what's the cause, you know? And he says, oh, it's Habitat for Humanity, which is a local organization here in Oregon. Actually, it might be nationwide, I'm not sure, but I know it's here in Oregon for sure. What they do is they basically supply building supplies for people that are low income. So like you can go to these places to get like wood and pre-used cabinets and stuff to fix your house up, for like really, really, really cheap, like pennies on the dollar. So anyways, he goes ahead and he rings up the second one and he says, okay, do you want to donate your 2 cents? And I said, well, can I, donate more, like donate $1? And keep in mind, we're talking about Lowe's here. They can do this. And he says, oh, no, I can't do that. Now, one of 2 things is going on here. Either the employee is not trained well enough to use the computer, and that option does exist, or it truly doesn't exist, and all they're trying to do is they're trying to basically get just the change, which is kind of interesting because I think that that's like a old generation thing where get you coming in and try to get you going out, like with these little add-ons and stuff like that. But the new generation isn't all about that. They're actually more generous, and they're like, we'll just give you $1, or let's give you something, and this is a whole world movement that's happening right now. I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but the people are starting to become more and more giving as, the representatives are becoming more and more greedy. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So I was watching a documentary. Actually, I think this was Tony Robbins, to tell you the truth. I'm pretty sure it was Tony Robbins that was talking about it. But he's basically what he was talking about. No. It wasn't Tony Robbins. Actually, who it was is it's a book, How to Win and Influence Friends by Dale Carnegie. That's a great book. You guys should check it out. But anyways, he's talking about the Christianizer, which is like this, religious movement back in the day. And so what they would do is they would go around and they would, dress up in their, religious clothes, and they would, go around and they would do their little songs and chants and dances. Oh, Hare Krishna, all that kind of stuff. And so they would do that. And then they would, ask people to donate money to their cause. But, they weren't doing so well, considering that, where they had came from, and they had found themselves in New York. So they're trying to do this in New York. And, paraphrase, he goes, so this motley looking crew comes up and they're like, Hare Krishna, they want your money or whatever. Would you like to donate $1? And people would just say no. I mean, we're talking about New York. So people were like, no. So they had to, develop a strategy in order to, try to get $1 from the citizens of New York. So basically what they did is they came up with this strategy where they started giving away roses. And interesting enough, as they gave away roses, they started getting donations. The roses, they would go and get them for free, and then they would give them away, obviously, for free. And, they noticed that about 90% of the people that received a rose actually gave a donation. So they continued to do it. But the interesting thing is that the people that bought the roses, technically, took the roses and threw them in the garbage. Like 90% or so. So 90% of the people are throwing the roses away that they just paid for. So that kind of, brought a whole new light to the subject. Then what are they really paying for? They're not paying for the rose if they're throwing it away. And so the Christianizer are very smart, and they realized what they were paying for. What they were paying for is they were paying to not be shamed. No one wants to be associated with, a suckerfish, a bottom dweller, a mooch, those kind of people. And so they would give $1, and then they would take the rose and they'd throw it in the garbage. But the Christianizer are super smart. So what they'd do is they'd just go get that rose out of the garbage, and they'd just give it to another person and get another donation. And they would repeat that process over and over and over until the rose was no longer good enough to give away. Well, eventually, the New Yorkers caught on, and they realized that, it was a scam. And so when they caught on, they stopped giving away the money. The donations stopped coming in from New York. And so they realized that something was wrong. Well, they had to once again come up with another tactic in order to get those donations. And so what was going on is people were throwing the roses on the ground, or just, shoving them away and not, wanting to accept them, because they realized that the reason why is they were being psychologically manipulated into giving, a donation for something that they didn't really want to be a part of. And that's really, really important subject there. It's another time, but be mindful of who gets your money, because whoever gets your money, they're doing something with that money to basically influence stuff that's around you, whether you like it or not. So that's something you should be mindful of. But getting back to topic. So basically, what they decided is that they were going to, come up with a new tactic. And what they did was they put little American flags on each rose. They pinned little American flags to the roses. And the reason why they did that is because they knew that the Americans would not throw it in the garbage. They also knew that they wouldn't throw it on the ground. And they also knew that it would be hard for them not to receive a rose with an American flag on it, and then not give a donation for that as well. And sure enough, it finally, paid off. So they did it, and they were able to give their roses with the American flag, and they started getting their donations back. But here is the dilemma. Eventually, they stopped giving money for those too. And there was, confusion again. So they thought, well, we got to make a new tactic to try to, get them to donate again. Unfortunately, the New Yorkers were a lot smarter than they anticipated. And that was pretty much the end of it. That was it. They didn't get any more donations really from New Yorkers after that, because the New Yorkers had figured out that they were just being emotionally manipulated every step of the way to support a group that basically didn't support their own beliefs. On a probably 90% or something like that. Who knows? But here's the interesting part. So you can basically tell people what's going on, or you can hide what's going on, get what you want, and hope that they're never going to figure out what you hid to get what you want. Now, I'm going to break that down, what I'm really trying to say. What I'm saying is that if you are going to sell a car, and you want to sell that car, what you do is you put the car up on online and you have people come and look at it, and then they come and buy the car, right? Right. Well, if you want to make sure that you sell a car and get it at, or get the money that you want for it, then what you do is you get the car and you put it online. Once you put it online, then you can, get somebody to come look at it. But what you also can do is get 2 people to come look at it. Now, this is a whole nother tactic. This is a tactic of scarcity. So when things seem like they're, very little of, and it's going to be hard to get it, for some reason, we're more inclined to want it. And so when things, are scarce, then we usually try to, hoard it, like the toilet paper thing, when the COVID hit. Remember all that? That was crazy. But but anyways, getting into the point. So using scarcity, you can get people to, pay full price for your product. In this case, it's a car. So basically, you make an appointment with 2 people or 3, and you set them all for the same time. And what ends up happening is the first one will show up. You start showing him the car. The second one shows up and he wants to look at the car, and you tell him, well, check it out. You can look at the car after he's done looking at the car, because he is here first. And so if he doesn't buy the car at my asking price, then you're free to look at it. So now here's another guy who's, off on the corner, feeling like basically banished from the table, and he's wanting to buy the car, and the other guy's looking at the car as this guy's standing on the corner, and then all of a sudden here's another guy that shows up. So a third person shows up and they want to look at the car, and you give them the same spiel. Well, if he doesn't buy the car, then you're more than welcome to, but he's also in line first. Now that car all of a sudden looks so much more valuable that on almost any given day, you're going to get exactly what you're asking for the car, because you have 3 people that are basically competing for the chance to get that car that they think, is obviously, a commodity, something that you can't really get. When really all it is it's just a psychological tactic to get people to believe that that's the only one in existence, kind of thing. So that's, one way to do it. And that basically is the way that you do it if you're a douche. But if you want to do it the right way, but still it works, and I've done this, so just so you know, people don't like doing this, and they're really not into it. But it does work somewhat. So I'll give you an example, basically how it worked out for me. I was selling a PlayStation. So I sold this PlayStation that was already broken, actually. Matter of fact, it was 2 PlayStations, and they were PlayStation 4s. They were slim. They were both broken. So I put up an ad, 2 broken PlayStations, and I was going to sell them basically as a pair. So the first guy calls and he wants to buy them, and then the second guy calls and he wants to buy them. Well, the first guy that called, I went ahead and set an appointment up and said that I'll sell them to you. But then the second guy called, and I told him about the first guy, and that he is more than welcome to come and look at the PlayStations as well with the other guy. And then maybe they could, both walk away with one apiece, or maybe, who knows what could happen. But they both know that they are about to be in a bidding war. So I let both people know that there's 2 people interested and 2 people are showing up. And that's a big difference. So a lot of times if you tell them right off the bat that someone else is there to bid them, then they're going to be defeated, and they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to go try to outbid that guy unless they really want the product, whatever the product is. But in this case, they both did, and they both knew. So they both came. What ended up happening, interesting enough, is that the one guy ended up giving me, a set price that I wanted for the two. And then he actually gave $40 extra, if I don't recall, to the other guy just because he showed up and he bought the PlayStations. So he actually wheeled and dealed with the other guy. I was literally, on the corner just letting these guys deal for the PlayStations. So the one guy says, hey, look, I'll buy them both, and then I'll just give you $40 for showing up. You don't get, to go away with a PlayStation, but you obviously, get to walk away with $40 for nothing. And so the guy was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So he took the $40. The other guy took his PlayStations. I took my money, and that was it. So it's really interesting of what can happen if you really, do the right thing. Doing the right thing is super important. And so the reason why the Christians lost out was because they basically didn't tell anyone what they were doing. They were scamming, and they tried to hide the scam. Okay? Now, if you're not hiding anything and you're completely transparent, it's not a scam. And that's the difference. And so the PlayStation deal wasn't a scam. I just told him what was going on. And you can do that same deal. Now, with cars, it might not work out as well. People are going to be like, hey, I don't really necessarily agree. Like, I don't want to come and bid. Well, then they don't come and bid. But that's that. So anyways, I thought you guys might like to hear that story. This is Gregory's Odd World signing out. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share. Click the bell if you want to get more, content like this. And have a good day. Doesn't come from love, it's wrong.